Bath is a city in the ceremonial county of Somerset, England, known for its Roman-built baths. In 2011, the population was 88,859. Bath is in the valley of the River Avon, 97 miles west of London and 11 miles southeast of Bristol. The city became a World Heritage Site in 1987. The city became a spa with the Latin name Aqua Sulia c. AD 60 when the Romans built baths on a temple in the valley of the River Avon, although hot springs were known even before then. Bath Abbey was founded in the 7th century and became a religious centre. The building was rebuilt in the 12th and 16th centuries. In the 17th century, claims were made for the curative properties of water from the springs, and Bath became popular as a spa town in the Georgian era. Georgian architecture, crafted from Bath stone, includes the Royal Crescent, Circus, Pump Room and Assembly Rooms, where Monash presided over the city's social life from 1705 until his death in 1761. Many of the streets and squares were laid out by John Wood the Elder, and in the 18th century the city became fashionable and the population grew. Jane Austen lived in Bath in the early 19th century. Further building was undertaken in the 19th century and following the Bath Blitz in World War II. The city has software, publishing and service-oriented industries. Theatres, museums, and other cultural and sporting venues have helped make it a major centre for tourism with more than 1 million staying visitors and 3.8 million day visitors to the city each year. There are several museums, including the Museum of Bath Architecture, Victoria Art Gallery, Museum of East Asian Art, and the Holborn Museum. The city has two universities, the University of Bath and Bath Spa University, with Bath College providing further education. Sporting clubs include Bath Rugby and Bath City FC, while Team Bath is the umbrella name for all of the University of Bath sports teams. Bath became part of the county of Avon in 1974, and, following Avon's abolition in 1996, has been the principal centre of Bath and northeast Somerset. History: Iron Age and Roman hills in the locality such as Bathampton Downs or human activity from the Mesolithic period. Several Bronze Age round barrows were opened by John Skinner in the 18th century. Bathampton Camp may have been an Iron Age hill fort of stock enclosure. A long barrow site believed to be from the Beaker people was flattened to make way for Raff Charmy Down. Archaeological evidence shows the site of the Roman bath's main spring may have been treated as a shrine by the Britons, and was dedicated to the goddess Sulis, whom the Romans identified with Minerva. The name Sulis continued to be used after the Roman invasion, appearing in the town's Roman name, Aqua Sulis. Messages to her scratched onto metal, known as curse tablets, have been recovered from the sacred spring by archaeologists. The tablets were written in Latin, and cursed people whom the writers felt had wronged them. For example, if a citizen had his clothes stolen at the baths, he might write a curse, naming the suspects, on a tablet to be read by the goddess. A temple was constructed in 6070 AD, and a bathing complex was built up over the next 300 years. Engineers drove oak piles into the mud to provide stable foundation, and surrounded the spring with an irregular stone chamber lined with lead. In the 2nd century, the spring was enclosed within a wooden barrel-vaulted structure that housed the caldarium, tepidarium, and frigidarium. The town was later given defensive walls, probably in the 3rd century. After the failure of Roman authority in the first decade of the 5th century, the baths fell into disrepair and were eventually lost as a result of silting. In March 2012, a hoard of 30,000 silver Roman coins, one of the largest discovered in Britain, was unearthed in an archaeological dig. The coins, believed to date from the 3rd century, were found about 150 meters from the Roman baths. Post-Roman and medieval Bath may have been the site of the Battle of Badon, in which King Arthur is said to have defeated the Anglo-Saxons. The town was captured by the West Saxons in 577 after the Battle of Diorum. The Anglo-Saxon poem The Ruin may describe the appearance of the Roman site about this time. A monastery was founded at an early date, reputedly by St. David, although more probably in 675 by Osric, king of the Hwicce, perhaps using the walled area as its precinct. Nennius, a 9th-century historian, mentions a hot lake in the land of the Hwicce along the River Severn, and adds, it is surrounded by a wall, made of brick and stone, and men may go there to bathe at any time, and every man can have the kind of bath he likes. If he wants, it will be a cold bath, and if he wants a hot bath, it will be hot. Bede described hot baths in the Geographical Introduction to the Ecclesiastical History in terms very similar to those of Nennius. King Offa of Mercia gained control of the monastery in 781 and rebuilt the church, which was dedicated to Saint Peter. By the 9th century, the old Roman street pattern was lost and Bath was a royal possession. King Alfred laid out the town afresh, leaving its southeastern quadrant as the Abbey precinct. In the Burgle Heideage, Bath is recorded as a burh and is described as having walls of 1,375 yards and was allocated 1,000 men for defence. During the reign of Edward the Elder, coins were minted in Bath based on a design from the Winchester Mint but with bad on the obverse relating to the Anglo-Saxon name for the town, Batham, Bath and a Bathon, meaning at the baths, and this was the source of the present name. Edgar of England was crowned King of England in Bath Abbey in 973. William Rufus granted the city to a royal physician, John of Tours, who became Bishop of Wells and Abbot of Bath, following the sacking of the city during the rebellion of 1088. It was papal policy for bishops to move to more urban seats, and John of Tours translated his own from Wells to Bath. The bishop planned and began a much larger church as his cathedral, to which was attached a priory, with the bishop's palace beside it. New baths were built around the Three Springs. Later bishops returned the episcopal seat to Wells while retaining the name Bath in the title, Bishop of Bath and Wells. St. John's Hospital was founded around 1180 by Bishop Reginald Fitz-Jocelyn and is among the oldest almshouses in England. The Hospital of the Baths was built beside the hot springs of the Cross Bath for the health-giving properties and to provide shelter for the poor infirm. Administrative systems fell within the hundreds. The Bath Hundred had various names, including the Hundred of Labouri. The Bath Foreign Hundred of Foreignsecum covered the area outside the city and was later combined into the Bath Forum Hundred. Wealthy merchants had no status within the hundred courts and formed guilds to gain influence. They built the first guild hall probably in the 13th century. Around 1200 the first mayor was appointed. Early modern. By the 15th century, Bath's Abbey Church was dilapidated and Oliver King, Bishop of Bath and Wells, decided to rebuild it on a smaller scale in 1500. The new church was completed just a few years before Bath Priory was dissolved in 1539 by Henry VIII. The Abbey Church became derelict before being restored as the city's parish church in the Elizabethan era, when the city experienced a revival as a spa. The baths were improved and the city began to attract the aristocracy. A royal charter granted by Queen Elizabeth I in 1590 confirmed city status. During the English Civil War, the city was garrisoned for Charles I. £7,000 was spent on fortifications, but on the appearance of parliamentary forces the gates were thrown open and the city surrendered. It became a significant post for the new model army under William Waller. Bath was retaken by Royalists following the Battle of Lansdowne fought on the northern outskirts of the city on 5 July 1643. Thomas Guy. A student of chemistry and medicine at Wadham College, Oxford, set up a practice in the city in 1668. He was interested in the curative properties of the waters, and he wrote a discourse of Bath, and the hot waters there. Also, some inquiries into the nature of the water in 1676. It brought the health-giving properties of the hot mineral waters to the attention of the country, and the aristocracy arrived to partake in them. Several areas of the city were developed in the Stuart period, and more building took place during Georgian times in response to the increasing number of visitors who required accommodation. Architects John Wood the Elder and his son laid out the new quarters in streets and squares, the identical facades of which gave an impression of palatial scale and classical decorum. Much of the creamy gold Bath stone, a type of limestone used for construction in the city, was obtained from the Combe Down and Bathampton Down mines owned by Ralph Allen. Allen, to advertise the quality of his quarried limestone, commissioned the elder John Wood to build a country house on his Prior Park estate between the city and the mines. Allen was responsible for improving and expanding the postal service in Western England, for which he held the contract for more than 40 years. Although not fond of politics, Allen was a civic-minded man and a member of Bath Corporation for many years. He was elected mayor for a single term in 1742. In the early 18th century, Bath acquired its first purpose-built theatre, the Old Orchard Street Theatre. It was rebuilt as the Theatre Royal, along with the Grand Pump Room attached to the Roman baths and assembly rooms. Master of Ceremonies Bonash, who presided over the city's social life from 1705 until his death in 1761, drew up a code of behavior for public entertainments. Bath had become perhaps the most fashionable of the rapidly developing British spa towns, attracting many notable visitors such as the wealthy London bookseller Andrew Miller and his wife, who both made long visits. Late modern, the population of the city was 40,020 at the 1801 census, making it one of the largest cities in Britain. William Thomas Beckford bought a house in Lansdowne Crescent in 1822, and subsequently two adjacent houses to form his residence. Having acquired all the land between his home and the top of Lansdowne Hill, he created a garden more than 1/2 mile in length and built Beckford's Tower at the top. Emperor Haile Selassie of Ethiopia spent the 4 years in exile, from 1936 to 1940, at Fairfield House in Bath. During World War II, between the evening of the 25th of April and the early morning of the 27th of April 1942, Bath suffered 3 air raids in reprisal for RAF raids on the German cities of Lübeck and Rostock, part of the Luftwaffe campaign popularly known as the Baedeker Blitz. During the Bath Blitz, more than 400 people were killed, and more than 19,000 buildings damaged or destroyed. Houses in the Royal Crescent, Circus and Paragon were burnt out along with the assembly rooms. A 500-kilogram high-explosive bomb landed on the east side of Queen Square, resulting in houses on the south side being damaged and the Francis Hotel losing 24 meters of its frontage. The buildings have all been restored, although there are still signs of the bombing. A post-war review of inadequate housing led to the clearance and redevelopment of areas of the city in a post-war style. often at variance with the local Georgian style. In the 1950s, the nearby villages of Coombe Down, Twetton and Weston were incorporated into the city to enable the development of housing, much of it council housing. In the 1970s and 1980s, it was recognized conservation of historic buildings was inadequate, leading to more care and reuse of buildings and open spaces. In 1987, the city was selected by UNESCO as a World Heritage Site, recognizing its international cultural significance. Since 2000, major developments have included the Therme Baths Park, the Southgate Shopping Centre, the residential Western Riverside project on the Stoddart and Amp Pit factory site, and a Riverside Bath Quays office and business development. Government. Historical development. Bath had long been an ancient borough, having that status since 878 when it became a royal borough of Alfred the Great, and was reformed into a municipal borough in 1835. It has formed part of the county of Somerset since 878 when ceded to Wessex, having previously been in Mercia. However, Bath was made a county borough in 1889, independent of the newly created administrative county and Somerset County Council. Bath became part of Avon when the non-metropolitan county was created in 1974, resulting in its abolition as a county borough and instead becoming a non-metropolitan district with borough status. With the abolition of Avon in 1996, the non-metropolitan district and borough were abolished too, and Bath has since been part of the unitary authority district of Bath and North East Somerset. Bath was returned to the ceremonial county of Somerset in 1996, though as being Ampnes as a unitary authority. It is not part of the area covered by Somerset County Council Charter Trustees because Bath is unparished. There is no longer a city council. Bath City Council having ended in 1996 with the abolition of the district of Bath. The City of Bath's ceremonial functions, including its formal status as a city, its twinning arrangements, the mayoralty of Bath, which can be traced back to 1230, and control of the city's coat of arms, are maintained by the Charter Trustees of the City of Bath. The councillors elected by the electoral wards that cover Bath are the trustees, and they elect one of the number as mayor. The coat of arms includes two silver strips representing the River Avon and the Hot Springs. The sword of St. Paul is a link to Bath Abbey. The supporters, a lion and a bear, stand on a bed of acorns, a link to Bladud, the subject of the legend of Bath. The knight's helmet indicates a municipality and the crown is that of King Edgar. Bath City Forum. Bath and North East Somerset Council has established the Bath City Forum, comprising 12 nominated Ampnes councillors representing wards in Bath, 1 cabinet member of Ampnes Council, and up to 13 co-opted members drawn from the communities of the city. The first meeting of the Forum was held on the 13th of October 2015 at the Guildhall, where the first chair and vice-chair were elected. Parliamentary elections. Bath is one of the oldest extant parliamentary constituencies in the United Kingdom, being in continuous existence since the Model Parliament of 1295. Before the Reform Act 1832, Bath elected 2 members to the unreformed House of Commons, as an ancient parliamentary borough. From 1832 until 1918 it elected 2 MPs and then was reduced to 1. Historically the constituency covered only the city of Bath. However, it was enlarged into some outlying areas between 1997 and 2010. The constituency since 2010 once again covers exactly the city of Bath, and is currently represented by Conservative Ben Howlett, who replaced the retiring Liberal Democrat Don Foster at the 2015 general election. Foster's election was a notable result of the 1992 general election, as Chris Patten, the previous member, played a major part, as chairman of the Conservative Party, in re-electing the government of John Major, but failed to defend his marginal seat. Electoral wards. The 16 electoral wards of the Bath and North East Somerset Unitary Authority within Bath are Abbey, Bathwark, Combe Down, Kingsmead, Lambridge, Lansdowne, Lincoln, Newbridge, Odd Down, Oldfield, South Down, Twetton, Walcott, Westmoreland, Weston and Widcombe. Geography. Physical geography. Bath is in the Avon Valley near the southern edge of the Cotswolds, a range of limestone hills designated as an area of outstanding natural beauty. The hills that surround and make up the city have a maximum altitude of 781 feet on the Lansdowne Plateau. Bath has an area of 11 square miles. The floodplain of the Avon, on which the city centre is built, has an altitude of about 59 feet above sea level. The river, once an unnavigable series of braided streams broken up by swamps and ponds, has been managed by weirs into a single channel. Periodic flooding, which shortened the life of many buildings in the lowest part of the city, was normal until major flood control works were completed in the 1970s. Kensington Meadows is an area of mixed woodland and open meadow next to the river, which has been designated as a local nature reserve. Water bubbling up from the ground as geothermal springs originates as rain on the Mendip Hills. The rain percolates through limestone aquifers to a depth of between 9,000 to 14,000 feet, where geothermal energy raises the water's temperature to between 64 and 96 degrees Celsius. Under pressure, the heated water rises to the surface along fissures and faults in the limestone. Hot water at a temperature of 46 degrees Celsius rises here at the rate of 1,170,000 liters daily from a geological fault. In 1983, a new spa water borehole was sunk, providing a clean and safe supply for drinking in the pump room. There is no universal definition to distinguish a hot spring from a geothermal spring, although, by several definitions, the Bath Springs can be considered the only hot springs in the UK. 3 of the springs feed the thermal baths. Climate. Along with the rest of southwest England, Bath has a temperate climate which is generally wetter and milder than the rest of the country. The annual mean temperature is approximately 10 degrees Celsius. Seasonal temperature variation is less extreme than most of the United Kingdom because of the adjacent sea temperature. The summer months of July and August are the warmest, with mean daily maxima of approximately 21 degrees Celsius. In winter, mean minimum temperatures of 1 or 2 degrees Celsius are common. In the summer, the Azores high pressure affects the southwest of England, bringing fair weather. However, convective cloud sometimes forms inland, reducing the number of hours of sunshine. Annual sunshine rates are slightly less than the regional average of 1,600 hours. In December 1998, there were 20 days without sun recorded at Yeovilton. Most of the rainfall in the southwest is caused by Atlantic depressions or by convection. Most of the rainfall in autumn and winter is caused by the Atlantic depressions, which is when they are most active. In summer, a large proportion of the rainfall is caused by sun heating the ground, leading to convection and to showers and thunderstorms. Average rainfall is around 700 millimeters. About 8 to 15 days of snowfall is typical. November to March have the highest mean wind speeds, and June to August have the lightest winds. The predominant wind direction is from the southwest. Demography. The 2011 census recorded a population of 88,859 for the city of Bath. And Office for National Statistics estimate of the population for the urban area was put at 97,311. According to the 2001 census, Bath, together with northeast Somerset, which includes areas around Bath as far as the Chew Valley, had a population of 169,040, with an average age of 39.9. Demography shows, according to the same statistics, the district is overwhelmingly populated by people of a white background at 97.2%, significantly higher than the national average of 90.9%. Other ethnic groups in the district, in order of population size, are multiracial at 1%, Asian at 0.5%, and Black at 0.5%. The district is largely Christian at 71%, with no other religion reaching more than 0.5%. These figures generally compare with the national averages, though the non-religious, at 19.5%, are significantly more prevalent than the national 14.8%. 7.4% of the population describe themselves as not healthy in the last 12 months, compared with a national average of 9.2% nationally. 18.2% of people describe themselves as having a long-term illness. In Bath it is 15.8%. An inhabitant of Bath is known as a Bathonian. Economy. Industry. Bath once had an important manufacturing sector, particularly in crane manufacture, furniture manufacture, printing, brass foundries, quarries, dye works and plasticine manufacture, as well as many mills. Significant Bath companies included Stoddart and Amp Pitt, Bath cabinet makers, and Bath and Amp Portland Stone. Nowadays, manufacturing is in decline, but the city boasts strong software, publishing and service-oriented industries, being home to companies such as Future Publishing in London and Amp Country Mortgage Brokers. The city's attraction to tourists has also led to a significant number of jobs in tourism-related industries. Important economic sectors in Bath include education and health, retail, tourism and leisure, and business and professional services. Major employers of the National Health Service, the city's 2 universities, and a Bath and North East Somerset Council, as well as the Ministry of Defence, although a number of MOD officers formerly in Bath have recently moved to Bristol. Growing employment sectors include information and communication technologies and creative and cultural industries, where Bath is one of the recognized national centers for publishing, with the magazine and digital publisher Future Publishing employing around 650 people. Others include Borough Happold and IPL Information Processing Limited. The city boasts over 400 retail shops, half of which are run by independent specialist retailers, and around 100 restaurants and cafes primarily supported by tourism. Tourism. One of Bath's principal industries is tourism, with annually more than 1 million staying visitors and 3.8 million day visitors. The visits mainly fall into the categories of heritage tourism and cultural tourism, aided by the city's selection in 1987 as a World Heritage Site in recognition of its international cultural importance. All significant stages of the history of England are represented within the city, from the Roman Baths to Bath Abbey and the Royal Crescent, to the more recent Thermae Bath Spa. The size of the tourist industry is reflected in the almost 300 places of accommodation, including more than 80 hotels, 2 of which have 5-star ratings, over 180 bed and breakfasts, many of which are located in Georgian buildings, and 2 campsites located on the western edge of the city. The city also has about 100 restaurants and a similar number of pubs and bars. Several companies offer open-top bus tours around the city, as well as tours on foot and on the river. Since the opening of Thermae Bath Spa in 2006, the city has attempted to recapture its historical position as the only town or city in the United Kingdom offering visitors the opportunity to bathe in naturally heated spring waters. In the 2010 Google Street View Best Streets Awards, the Royal Crescent took second place in the Britain's Most Picturesque Street Award, first place being given to the Shambles in York. Milsom Street was also awarded Britain's Best Fashion Street in the 11,000-strong vote.